to Eagle Rock Falls. Now these falls will certainly be dry, as most are in this area, but they looked pretty impressive from photos, even just the rock formations. So we'll go check it out. We're not far away. According to our map, Eagle Rock Falls is 1.9 kilometers from where we are at the moment.
There's a really pretty bush along the edge of the track with little red berries we've never seen before. I don't know what it is, but we like it.
We have made it into Eagle Rock Falls, and as I suspected, it's dry, but it would be an impressive bit of water coming down there when wet. The cliffs here are spectacular. Straight down, I reckon that had to be a good 100 meters. It's like a double-decker falls. You've got the top falls with a little pool at the bottom, and then you've got the secondary falls going down to another pool at the bottom. And then over on that face of that rock, it looks like there was a falls there as well, probably when the water's really hammering. And that's the gorge it's created. Very, very impressive for something that is not very well known. To give you a little bit of an idea of where we've been and where we're going. We got the town of Newman down here. This is the BHP railway line that you need your permit for. So we've come in on this Calgan's Pool Road and we stopped in at Calgan's Pool. Then we backtracked a little bit and camped on the Calgan Creek. Then we came back out again, took the high track which goes up to a lookout above Calgan's Pool along here, and we spent the night at Eagle Rock Pool. We're now at Eagle Rock Falls. We're going to head back. We're going to visit 3 pools. Then we're going to go back to the Calgan River and probably camp around about the same spot we were before. And tomorrow we'll run up this BHP mining road and we'll duck into this area. We'll visit the Hickman crater, the Punda rock art, and probably camp at the Punda rock hole if it's appropriate. So that's the plans, and that's sort of the area around Newman, which is pretty spectacular, I got to admit. The map from the visitor center says that this is a very difficult 4-wheel drive track to get back into the falls. We didn't find it difficult at all. I think the map probably needs some updating. This has been graded at some point in time in its life. It's rocky and bouncy, but it's not difficult.
No, the mining companies are doing a lot of stuff back in here, and they've improved the road conditions significantly, I'm sure, from what they used to be.
Yeah, I think you're spot on.
I don't think I'd want to take a child to that lookout very badly.
No, you'd want them on a harness or something, because there is steep cliffs everywhere and easy access to steep cliffs too. Now here is something that I never ever thought we would find out here in the middle of the arid desert. That's a puffball mushroom that's busting out through the side of the track. And look at this track. It's as dry as pitch. Unbelievable. He's a decent size too. head up to the top of this little hill and put the drone around us, doing a little bit of a spotlight, because it's just a little hill that sticks out in the middle of nowhere. It's pretty cool.
I only see sky.
Yeah, me too.
Like it's going down. That's how narrow it is on the top. Our front end is, there's only just enough room on the top for the truck, I think.
Cool. Okay, now time to come off of our little crown.
That's very steep.
It is very steep. On our way to Three Pools, we saw a little track that went off to the left to a place called Thunder Gorge. So that was not detailed or marked at the Newman Visitor Center. So we've poked our nose down this Thunder Gorge track and we're going to see what we can see. It's only a short distance, about 2 kilometers off the main track, and so far it's in really good condition. The track's kind of fallen apart a little bit, but it has been graded because every once in a while you can see tread tracks from a grader. We're dropping down into the watercourse that makes up Thunder Gorge now. I am at the base of the creek at Thunder Gorge. The track goes on here for another 100 meters or so, but there's a big log across the track there. So that's as far as one is going. I am going to proceed through bipedal motion to get to the gorge itself. Jill's going to stay back in the car. Squeaky tree. Well, I've been bush bashing down the creek bed for a few hundred meters. I think that's the gorge directly in front of me, and I'm starting to get into this swampy water now. I'm a fan of walking through this long grass, but I don't have a choice. So snakies, please don't be around. Well, I ran out of track. And now I'm in the water, and it's slippery and slimy. All right, I think I've reached the end of the line here. There's a big log blocking the waterways, and there's the gorge there. Yeah, maybe I can climb up on this rock here. Made it. There we are, Thunder Gorge. You know, it was a scramble to get in. It's probably the bush bashiest that I've done on this whole trip to get back here. But you know what? The prize at the end is pretty good. This is quite an impressive gorge. You know, this would be something that you would expect to see in Carragini. But here we are, a lonely old bush track in the back of Newman to a spectacular gorge. It does beg the question, how many other hidden gorges are there around the place? Hundreds, I bet. That is going to be the end of my trip. I could scrabble down there, but Jill's back in the car. She might start to get a little bit worried. Haven't gone for about 45 minutes. But my goodness, what a surprise. That is bloody awesome. Again, it just bloody pays to get out there and have a crack, doesn't it? Would have been so easy to just drive past that track and keep going. I like it. I like it a lot. Man, when the water is pumping through here, it would be howling. Deep, deep crevice. Well, Thunder Gorge. If you're out here, don't drive past the track. Make the effort. I don't think you'd be disappointed. Heading back out of Thunder Gorge now. That was awesome. If you are driving back here, don't go past that track. Turn in and check it out. Worth the effort. We are now heading towards Three Pools, which looks like, from our map anyway, it is on the same creek system that the Thunder Gorge is on. You will need low range to get down here. The last 300 or 400 meters of the track is quite steep. It really is spectacular scenery in through here with all these gorges and hills, with the track winding between them all. Sensational. We're now in on the track going into Three Pools. And that section of road, a main road between Thunder Gorge and Three Pools, was shit. So as of June of 2023, it is rough and just nasty, washed out from the recent rains. Well, this is just crap. Well, we have made it to Three Pools. So let's have a look. 1, 2, 3. She is pretty impressive. I'm going to throw the drone up and fly through the middle of this little gorge system, but I like what I'm seeing. The truck's right over there underneath that big gum tree. So that's how close you get to the three pools.
We've just had lunch at Three Pools, had pies from the Travel Buddy.
Steak and pepper. Yummy.
Yeah, they were really good.
They were. It's a pretty cool permanent water source. Pretty cool. There were indeed three pools, maybe even a few more, but three big ones anyway. Little camp spot down there. You can't really access the water because the gorge walls are so steep, so you have to do a little bit of climbing and scrambling to get there. And the campsite is quite dusty there as well. I think you can do better for campsites around here, but it's still well worth a visit. The gorge itself is stunning. The trail in does go through this old creek bed. You got to do a little bit of low-range rock hopping, but nothing too dramatic. Okay, roll down your window and tell me how close I get to that big-ass gibber.
Close enough. Don't get any... Ooh, that's really close.
How am I looking?
You're going to make it past, but you were at the limit. Man, that was tight.
Yep, that was tight. That took 4 sets of eyes.
4 sets. I guess we both wear glasses, so 4 eyes each.
So from here, we are going to backtrack to the Calgan Pool cliff track, I guess you'd call it. The lookout over top of Calgan Pool. Then we're going to run up Calgan Creek and we're going to camp somewhere around where we were before. We had a little spot there that was quite nice. We called it the Georgia Swamp because it reminded Jill of a Georgia swamp. When's the last time you've been to a Georgia swamp?
In a book. I liked it there.
I did too, yeah. It was nice, fresh running water. Yeah, it's a lovely spot. No bugs.
And private.
Starlink, not so good though.
No.
Lots of trees, lots of obstructions that block it and slow it down, but that's all good. We've been back in this sort of northwest area of Newman for 3 days now, and we have seen a handful of people. We've probably seen more mining vehicles than tourists back here, which is pretty amazing. But I would suggest if this is an area that you want to visit, you put that on your list sooner rather than later, because there may very well come a time when some interested group shuts this all down, and that would be sad. Sad for the outdoor loving tourists like ourselves. The main track that takes you into Three Pools and to Eagle Rock Pool is what we're on now, heading in a westerly direction. It is an actual water course that you're driving up, and it's pretty washed out at the moment and scrabbly. So we're down to first gear, low range, just sort of picking our way up. This little track heading to and from the lookout over Calgan's Pool is bloody impressive. It just runs along, skirts along this red cliff edge, going up and down through these gullies. It's just a beautiful drive. This is so uniquely Western Australian. I don't think I've seen anything like this in any other state, even the Territory. Alright, we are now heading down the last little scramble to the Calgan Pool track. This is definitely the steepest section. And diff locks are your friend here. You could probably do it without, but it is super steep and super scrabbly. Have you ever met anybody on this track?
That would be bad.
That would be very bad. I don't know what you would do.
Up usually is right of way, so we'd be extra screwed, and to the left is over the cliff.
Not a lot of healthy choices, really, is there?
No, this was where I was trying to film you the other day, and I thought it's never going to show.
Yeah, looking into the sun and the like.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to go a little bit on the high side so that we can spin around on the low side and hopefully our ass doesn't overtake us. I do have the rear diff lock in, but not the front, because I want to be able to steer around corners like that. Whereas when I went up, I had them both in.
The insides of the rocks are actually really pretty colors.
Let's not have a close-up look at them, shall we? That was the worst of it. This little section here is pretty easy and you're done.
That's cool. There's more engines. 2 more engines there in the middle.
Yeah, I can see the end of it now.
I was like, oh, there's a train. Off the main railway line, the BHP railway line, and now we're heading in towards the Punda area. We're going to go to the Punda petroglyphs and then the Punda rock hole. We will start with the Hickman crater. That's the furthest one away. That's about 20k. Pretty cool through here with these termite mounds so close to the track, and they're nice and red ones too. They remind me of when you let wet sand run through your hands and make little piles.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
For those of us who can't make sand castles.
Our track is closed in on us and we had to pull our mirrors in. It is skinny. I think I read somewhere that it said they don't recommend cars wider than a Land Cruiser through here. I can see why now. Nobody's been back here for a while because the tracks are all blown over. We're at the intersection here now where you can go left to go to Hickman Crater, you can go straight to go to the Rock Art, or you can go right to go to the waterhole. We'll start with the Hickman Crater. It's the furthest away and probably the nastiest track, I suspect. We're still on the main track into the Hickman Crater. There's a turnoff in front of us about 1 kilometer. And from that turnoff, it's about another 4 down a riverbed to get to the crater area. You want to be committed to get out here because this is a rocky and rolly track and it's not quick going. We've been in first gear pretty much the whole time, but there are faint tracks in front of us, so there are committed people out there who have been down here. Read somewhere that this crater was only discovered in 2007 by a fella by the name of Hickman, who was a government employee with the West Australia Department of Mining, and he found it on Google Earth. So that was kind of cool, just roaming around on Google Earth and you discover something that's been here for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years, and the first person to find it using a satellite image. I also read in 2017, only sort of 6 years ago or so, they had a team come out here and drill in the center of it, and they worked out that the crater floor is about 40 odd meters below the current surface of the ground, and it was an iron ore meteorite crater, because that's what the Pilbara needs, is more iron. But it was an iron ore meteorite, and the impact was between, they couldn't really date it all that well. They said somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 years ago. So it's a pretty big range. And I guess this track that we're on would have been pushed in here to get that drilling equipment in here so they could drill into the center of the crater. There is a journal article from the WA Mines Department that have the results of that drill. If you're interested in finding it, I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult to locate if you Google. few hundred meters from the crater itself now, and the track has really turned yucky. There's been a few areas along here where we've had to put the diff locks in, and we're just inching along. And first low, second low, but we are so close now. What's our map tell us? 400 meters away. That's the Hickman crater down there. Jill and I are sitting up on the rim of the Hickman crater having lunch. We've got a little bit of an astronomical theme happening. Yep, Jill's got her solar eclipse shirt on from Exmouth. I've got Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. And this is the, what is this? The third meteorite crater that we visited in our lives. We've been to Wolf Creek. We've been to Fox, the little guy. And now to Hickman. And we're probably going to visit Wolf Creek again later on this trip. This one is a lot bigger than Fox. And a lot smaller than Wolf Creek. There's lots of tracks down in the base. You can see where people have been camping down there. There's fire pits down there. And obviously that's where the boys had done the drilling. And the meteorite was, can't remember how big it was, but it was a reasonable size. Like the size of a bus kind of a thing. A very small track that will drop us down into the interior of the meteorite crater. So let's head on down and check it out. I don't think we've ever driven on the slopes of an impact crater before. That's very cool.
No, we've only walked on.
We are into the bottom of the crater. Suddenly so smooth and sandy. That's pretty cool. It's like a giant amphitheater, isn't it?
It is. Very cool.
The GoPro picks that up. That's awesome.
We're driving into the sun, just weaving around here.
Yeah, weaving at the bottom of a crater.
I think they join up.
It's just a loop, is it? A turnaround
I
loop?
think so. Yeah. This is just a turnaround spot.
Well, we are leaving the meteorite crater. We were considering camping in here, but it's very bull dusty, and it's only midday as well, so we've got a big day of exploring in front of us, heading over to the Punda rock art, the petroglyphs. That was a very cool experience. I've never driven in the bottom of a meteorite crater.
No, I enjoyed that.
This is the track that climbs up the side of the meteorite crater, and it's a reasonable track. Probably, I don't know, 30 degrees? 25 degrees. It's a decent slope. Now I know the GoPro won't catch the steepness of that hill, but it will capture those clouds. That's pretty cool. We are having a drive now to the Punda rock hole. We were going to stop at the petroglyphs first, but it's getting late in the day, so we decided to head straight into camp at the rock hole. And this is a very rough track that sort of follows along the riverbed at the moment. It's defined enough just by two-wheel tracks, and that's about it. Well, you can't get much more straight down the riverbed than this. If you are planning to head out to this Punda rock hole, I'd suggest there's a very good chance you're going to have it to yourselves, because this track is not very well used at all, and it's a mission to get out here. So again, you need some commitment. It's all full of these paper barks and the track sort of weaves through them. You wouldn't want to get anything bigger than a Land Cruiser through here because it is tight, very tight. Somebody's been kind enough to cut off the branches to let us through. There's some big cows. Sorry guys, didn't mean to disturb you. Well, that's it. We've been puna blocked. There's a tree down in front of us here, and the track just sort of peters off into nothing. According to our map, we are 946 meters from Punda Rock Hole, and that is as far as we're gonna get.
There are so many petroglyphs here. They are beautiful. I could see the symbol for a water hole and arrows, pointing this way, the wildlife and talking to the spirits, honoring them. These are the ones out in the sunshine. I'll zoom in a bit closer. Very sacred. The truck got loaded with these orb weavers yesterday when we were trying to bash our way back to Punda Waterhole. Not a fan.
It is now the following morning, and we can report back on what we think of this Punda trifecta, I guess. So the Hickman crater, loved it. 10 out of 10. I'd highly recommend that sucker. Punda Waterhole. Now, we didn't make it to the waterhole itself because the track died. We got about 1 kilometer away. But even that riverbed for camping, when we were there anyway, it was full of weeds and it just wasn't all that pleasant.
And spiders.
And spiders, yes, golden orb weavers everywhere, which Jill was not a fan of. And lastly, the Punda petroglyph site. What was your take on that one, Jill?
There's great petroglyphs up there. You have to go hunting for them and scrabbling, and they're in multiple locations, but yeah, if you're into that, definitely recommend it.
The Wanamana petroglyph site is a lot easier to access than this one, so if you're, I guess, not that sort of into your rock hopping and you're clambering, Wanamana is the place you want to go. That should be a song. Wanamana is the place you want to go.